What were the things for you that made you quit that job? Because I think that's really interesting. A lot of people who do not even have those benefits of traveling, working remotely, and even making good money out of it. They want to quit their job as well, but you had those benefits, but you still quit your job.
I never had that feeling that it's like society in Germany is very like traditional and safety oriented. Like you don't just quit your job without knowing exactly what the next steps are.
That's not in my agenda. How does that work? And what are the things that you want to say to other people, based on your experience so far, based on the things that you wish you would knew earlier?
I think one main thing is don't be afraid to let go of things that are not bringing you forward. Just don't care too much about what people think. And in Germany, that's always really hard because people have really strong opinion about this is the way life's supposed to go.
Elli was an IT consultant for 4 years, that 1 year, and then started traveling for over 3 years. Then to multiple digital nomad hubs like South Africa, Mexico, and other places in Europe as well. In this podcast, we're gonna dive into the things she experienced, some radical decision making she did, and the lessons she learned along the way. So you know how to deal with things within the whole journey that's called life as well. Right?
Yes, thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, like within the lovely Madeira with nice weather outside. As the first podcast outside, so that's nice. So, how did it start?
So I've always loved to travel, and I've always lived abroad. Actually, when I was 18, I went abroad to study, and like I've always had this drive to go other places outside of Germany.
Because where were you born?
Well, I was born and raised in Germany. I grew up in a small town in Germany. I went to school there, but then I finished school at 18, and I went to the US actually to study there because it sounded much more fun than staying in Germany and studying there. Or not. And I really loved it, and I actually ended up staying in the US and living there for 7 years total. But then I finished my master's in the US May 2020, right in the middle of COVID, and the world was falling apart basically. And I ended up coming back to Germany, not by choice, but because the Asia and Australia trip that I professionally signed offered. So I went back to Germany, and I was looking for a job, and that's how I ended up in IT consulting, because it was a remote job and it was possible. I took COVID, and I started doing that.
But you did that for 1 year before you started traveling.
Exactly. So I did it for 1 year, just working from home in Germany. But yeah, I was new to the company, of course, and for the longest time, I never met anybody in person, just working there, and I just felt myself sitting at home all day. It's horrible working from home in the middle of lockdown, not being able to go anywhere. So that's when I decided, okay, I mean, why not just travel instead of just sitting at home, working from my desk there? I might as well go somewhere else and work from another desk.
And that's where your digital nomad journey started.
Exactly.
So what was your first destination?
My first destination was Mexico, actually. Well, I went to Mexico originally on vacation for 2 weeks because I was trying to get into the US, and you couldn't enter directly from Germany, from Europe to the US in the middle of COVID. So you had to go to Mexico for 2 weeks, and then you were allowed to enter. It was just a loophole. So that's how I came to Mexico at first, but I really loved it. And I kind of got introduced to some digital nomads while I was there. And I was like, yeah, that's a really, really cool lifestyle. And then I decided to come back and was in Mexico for 2 months, actually, while I was doing some freelance work and IT consulting at the same time.
Okay, and what's it like to do digital nomad work like in Mexico? Culture-wise, like with the whole hub that's there, just within everything.
I really love Mexico because, of course, at first my mom was worried, like, Mexico, is that safe? I went by myself. I didn't know anybody there. I don't speak in Spanish. So I did a little bit of research before. I was like, what are the best places to start? Like Qatar, for example, is quite touristic. There's a lot of tourists and foreigners there. So that's why I started actually. But then once I was in Mexico, I learned that this really nice community. There's so many people there working remotely. It's so easy to get around. The bus system for example is really good to get to different cities across the country. And then I started staying at co-living places where I could really work at the same time while also being other nomads that will work you there. And we would just work during the day and then we go out and have these street tacos in the evening, do some explorations on the weekends. So it was a really good life.
And that's where you meet most people during traveling, like the co-working, the hubs, or did you have other ways to meet people while traveling?
For me, it was really mostly always staying at co-livings. So at first when I was there, I was staying at hostels. And I found it was really difficult to combine travel and work there because a lot of people staying at hostels, they just want to party. And then it's really easy for me to say, oh, I also want to party. But then I learned about co-livings, which is, I mean, kind of like a co-working concept, but you also stay there. So also you have a lot of times the options between a dorm room or even your own room. And they have like designated co-working spaces where you can get your work done. And it's just a different atmosphere because everybody who's staying there is also working during the day. So it's a lot more motivating to be in an environment where people are trying to get work done.
I have the same when I went to Lisbon or when up here in Funchal, for example, I go to the co-working as well because then it's way easier to go into a co-working, get some work done than staying at a hostel or going into some cafes or whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone around you is working as well. And so it's dangerous for you to travel because if you think, oh, just going to go there for 1 week, you stay there 7 years. You stay there 2 months. Well, you're actually like case of your citizenship right now. To live in Manila, so it is quite dangerous for you to travel. No?
I wouldn't say dangerous, just inspirational. I see it. Yeah.
But we'll dive into that part later. So you are from Mexico, then you went back home, and then what time?
Yeah, for then because the problem with Mexico is that it's a different time zone, a way different time zone than Germany, and I started with work because some clients are Germany, so I had to adjust to recent times. And that's why I decided, okay, I learned about the whole co-living concept a little bit more now that there's actually a lot of co-livings and nomad communities within Europe as well. So next destination was Europe, and I tried different countries around there for the upcycle mode were Spain, Portugal, France, Deepa.
And what are the biggest differences that you found out in Europe as well? Like when you were traveling there, every country is different. For example, some are more expensive, some are less expensive. What are places that you would really recommend? What are places that think, you can skip that?
For myself, I found that, I mean, within Europe, the nice thing is that for me, it's more familiar and I didn't have to do that much research before, no matter where I went. I did Lisbon, for example. I also did Paris, but I realized for myself, the really big cities are not so much for me because it's harder to find community there. It's just too much happening. For me personally, that was my pressure. I also did Valencia, for example, stay at that, but it's still a big city, but not as big of a hub as Barcelona, for example.
Also, there's there as well, right?
Yes, it's quite a hub. They also have digital nomad meetups there that are really nice to go to. We had like co-learning sessions where people would just kind of like the workshop we had the other day. You just go and meet other nomads and do some skill sharing. They have a lot of co-working places there as well that also have the evening. So it was, it's a little smaller community that makes it just a lot easier to meet people and to get involved. Yeah.
You also tried Paris. What are some other places in Europe that you think are really interesting as well?
Well, Paris, I wouldn't try. Well, I did Lisbon as well, but there I found it difficult. Montenegro was really nice, actually. It's more of a, I think, up and coming destination, kind of also like Albania. I was in Tirana for a bit. So Montenegro, Albania, those are the cheaper. So that's good because it's in the Balkans. And it's, yeah, up and coming destination. So there are other nomads there as well. I think Tirana is really growing. They also have Nomad Fest there. And they have a lot of co-working buffets that are really cute. So lots of options.
Lots of options. And then you did some co-working, some co-living in Europe. And you made any radical decision? Let's go to South Africa.
Yeah, South Africa was actually, that was not my idea. That was a friend's idea.
He or she just said, I want to go to South Africa. You're gonna come along?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it was May, I was in Spain in Valencia, staying at a co-living there, and I made really good friends with a girl that was also staying there at the same time. I'm still in touch with her today. She's like, you're gonna be on my next podcast episode. And yeah, in May, she said, oh, I really want to go to South Africa. And I never had Cape Town on the map for myself. But she's like, you should come with me. I'm going to go in November. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then we went our separate ways up to Spain. And then like 2 months later, she reached out. She's like, I found this co-living room in South Africa. I'm going to go there and then. Are you coming? I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'm going. She's really going to go through with this. So we're into, Cape Town, South Africa for a month.
And what do you recommend when you go to such place? We talked a bit about that before. But
yeah, so I think the problem with Cape Town for me at first was that my friend did all the planning, which was great. But at the same time, I didn't do any research for myself. I arrived a little earlier than she did. So I got to Cape Town and done any research really. And it's different once you go outside of Europe, because safety-wise, of course, it's a bit of a concern in Cape Town. You have to be a lot more careful of where you go. Not especially at all. So I made that mistake the first day that I just ventured out on my own, and I had no idea where I was, and I immediately had to turn around because I did not feel comfortable, unfortunately. Yeah, so do your research before you go places.
and can you tell that story? Like you came out of the airplane.
I came out of the airplane. There's Uber, so that's good. There's Uber, so I could just take an Uber to the place where I was going. But the first day when you arrive somewhere, it's always a lot. Because I was so far away, I was tired because I had a really long, terrible flight, with like a 7-hour layover or so. So I was tired. I was hungry. I was hangry, and I was in a city where I didn't know where to go. So I was looking at Google Maps, like, where can I find food? It was also Sunday and a lot of places were closed. So I started walking, and they do the left-hand traffic in Cape Town, which always turns me around. I'm unable to follow maps. People drive on the opposite side of the street. I don't know why. So I walked into the wrong direction, and I was so confused. And I was listening to fails with my AirPods, just walking along, which is a horrible thing to do in Cape Town. Oh yeah, and all of a sudden I looked around and everybody's just looking at me really strangely, and sometimes when you travel you just get that feeling, I'm like, I'm really out of place here, I'm not supposed to be here. And I was looking at my phone and I'm like, oh, I need to turn around. And later I find out from other people at the co-living, you're really not supposed to walk in that direction. And especially you're not supposed to walk around with your phone and AirPods and all your bellow cables out in Cape Town, because it's very common to get snatched. So I was lucky that first day that I managed to find myself back, and I found food. So that was also good. Fried chicken. The best fried chicken I ever had in Cape Town, actually. It was a small little local place where I was also very out of place. Again.
With your AirPods in your phone, just on the table, maybe.
Yeah, probably. And everybody's like, what's this blonde girl doing here?
No real note, right? You can snatch my stuff right off the table. I will make it easy for you.
So, yeah, I mean, lesson learned. Do your research before you go places. And just be cautious when you go to different places, yeah.
How was that in Mexico, though? Just to wind back a bit. How safe there?
It's in Mexico. I did my research, so that was good for me. Of course, you have to be more careful there. Where get to your other place. So also I would try not to walk around alone too much at night. During the day, I've always felt fine in Mexico. Of course, before you go to a city, you look up the neighborhoods that you're not supposed to go. 'Cause there's just some places you're supposed to avoid. But other than that, I always felt safe in Mexico. Just be cautious, of course. Keep your valuables close. Europe is more. So it was always fine. I really could get around in Mexico. And bus system is really safe. For like the long routes to travel in the country. So I think if you use common sense, to me personally, Mexico was good. I felt safe there. The locals are really friendly and open to help you out,
And what are the things you search for when you do your research? Like, how do you do your research when you travel?
Google.
Now, of course, you know that thing called Google where you can search for this great place.
Well, maybe if I would do it now, I would ask ChatGPT, but no, I mean, I like to read like other travel blogs of other people's experiences as well, especially for like female solo traveler. There's a lot of different blogs that I like to read just to, because I think it's a bit different as a female solo traveler compared to males, probably. I'm probably a bit more cautious than you would be. And yeah, there's a lot of blogs and information out there. I always look for like how to get around. I look for neighborhoods to avoid. And then just like main attractions where to go to. Yeah.
Okay, and then at some point, you had 3 years of traveling in South Africa, Mexico, a lot of places in Europe, and then you made a radical decision because you had a good paying job with a lot of freedom. That you can work remotely as well. You worked a lot of hours as well, of course, but in IT consulting, and then you quit.
Yes.
You quit. What were the things for you that made you quit that job? Because I think that's really interesting. A lot of people who do not even have those benefits of traveling, working remotely, and even making good money out of it. They want to quit their job as well, but you had those benefits, but you still quit your job.
Yeah. So I did have a good job, and I'm really grateful for like the time that I had there. I learned a lot, and the freedom of traveling was really something invaluable. But I think that's also what kind of showed me by working remotely from so many different places. I met so many people and nomads that are doing exactly their passion in life, that are like entrepreneurs, and they follow their dreams and they've fallen down, got back up. And I think meeting so many people showed me like the opportunities that there are in life. And I've always aspired that when somebody just like they chased their dreams and they found it, and now they're working for a job that they just love doing. And I never had that feeling that it's like, I was so excited to get up and work today. I haven't had that feeling. It was just not my passion. And I realized that in the long run, that's just draining. It's draining your energy when you get up every day and do something that's not fulfilling for yourself. So at first I tried to like look around because I also didn't know exactly what it was that would be fulfilling for me that I wanted to do. And I tried to figure that out while I was working. Because also society in Germany is very like traditional and safety oriented. Like you don't just quit your job without knowing exactly what the next steps are. So I've gotten a lot of confused looks from people when I told them, yeah, I quit my job. And the first question is, what are you going to do next? And I'm like, I don't know. People are very confused.
That's not in my agenda. How does that work?
Exactly. No, but I couldn't find the time to really figure out the next step while I was doing my old job. So eventually I realized the only way to move forward is to leave behind what's holding the back, which was the job in that situation. So it's time consuming.
Now you move to Manila.
Yes.
How did that process go? Because that's like, okay, first of all, good paying job. It's holding me back. It's not making me happy. It drains my energy. You met a lot of people that are working from their passion and also had the same freedom that you had to be big. to Madeira? Like, what's happening there?
Yeah, well, with me, I came to Madeira, but I was still working the first time I came here, just I guess about your crops Madeira as a digital nomad. And I planned to come for 2 weeks, and then I went back for.
Well, we already managed that in the beginning. Like, you going somewhere for 2 weeks, that's not working.
Yeah. It was, and I came back like not even 3 weeks later. I was already back on the island, I think, for another month or so. No, it's like, because I had been traveling for 3 years, on and off, but always go to different places. And that also is just like, after a while, you need some time to process all those memories, those new experiences that you make while you're traveling. So I realized for myself, it's kind of hard to slow down a bit. I didn't have like any other like destinations on my list where like that's where I want to go right now. Because when you first start nomading, you're like, I want to go there, this and this, see this, see this, and everybody who you meet gives you more inspiration of, oh, you have to go there and there and there. And eventually, I got to the point of, okay, I've been a lot of places now, and I really like Madeira because of, I mean, the weather is January and we're recording here, so that's nice.
It's really, really ugly too.
Yeah, we have the mountains, we have the ocean. You can see better the oceans right there. So it's nice. The community here is amazing. Honestly, through all this travel time, I've never met a nomad community as strong as it is on Madeira. And I just felt like I'm home. So eventually I made the decision. I've known that Germany is not where I want to stay for the rest of my life because there's a reason why I always want to travel. I want to get out. Yeah, so I decided this place is as good as any, even better than most. So why not go here? And if I want to start fresh, might as well take that opportunity now to move here.
And what do you do now?
Now I'm taking the time to figure out what I want to do in life. So I've started a couple of visiting cities. I've got Madeira. I'm also podcasting now.
I'm gonna be on her next podcast, so check that out about Pancha Talk.
Yes, Pancha Talk. I started the podcast here on Madeira because I tried to figure out what are the things in life that I really enjoy, and one of that is traditional wake up to eat because it's such an inspiration piece to be other digital nomads. So yeah, I also have a podcast about it where I just continue to talk to people about their journey and their life lessons and their inspiration. So I'm doing the podcast now. That's really, really nice. I'm also getting more involved with the local community here on Madeira because I love the island. And yeah, and then I'll try to build some different income streams, maybe also some travel guides here on Madeira because I've done so many hikes and stuff like that, and I love exploring the nature on Madeira. I've never hiked as much as I do here. I love it. So yeah, trying out different things to see what it really is.
And what are the things that you want to say to other people, based on your experience so far, based on the things that you did, that you wish you would knew earlier?
I think one main thing is don't be afraid to let go of things that are not bringing you forward. Because that's always, I've realized it's so much easier for me to, do something else. Once I quit my job, once I gave up the apartment, once I sold my car, like you have to let go of things step by step in order to make room for new things in your life. And then the other thing is don't care too much about what people think. And in Germany, that's always really hard because people have really strong opinion about this is the way life's supposed to go. Like my grandma asking me when you're not married, are you going to have kids, things like that. But yeah, everybody's joined their own way at night. Here's those statements that other people's. So yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's gonna work out. I trust that it's gonna work out eventually. I'll find my way.
I think that's it. Thanks for sharing your story. I will leave everything about you down below. So your Instagram, Pancha Talk, on podcasts. What else?
Blog.
Your travel blog. And that's where people can find you.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. It's been Such a nice day, such a nice podcast.
And now let's drink some coffee and do the other podcast. Ciao.
Bye.